Of all the reality shows I would never want to be on, I think Fear Factor is top of the list. I'm afraid of all sorts of things like heights, enclosed spaces, Joe Rogan's opinions, spiders, the list goes on. Okay, I'm not actually afraid of spiders. I respect them for all they do. I just prefer they stay away from me. Wikipedia categorizes Fear Factor as a stunt/game show, which is a term I had never heard of before and probably never will again. If you've never seen Fear Factor before, basically what happens is people compete for money by doing scary and/or gross things. Now that we've got that excellent explanation behind us, let's venture on. The episode begins with a cheap green screen safety disclaimer and one of the most jarring sights to my known eyes. Joe Rogan with a lot more hair than I ever remember him having. I know nowadays he's full-on Mr. Clean, but my faint memories of Fear Factor Joe Rogan have him with a much closer cropped head of hair. I know it's a dead meme by now, but all I can think of is therapist, Joe Rogan with hair isn't real, he can't hurt you. Joe Rogan with hair. Next, we're introduced to our contestants. We have Carlisle, Winston, Gabriella, Veronica, Nick, and Deirdre. And for some reason, they're naked? Joe tells the contestants that in order to win the $50,000 at the end of this, they must complete 3 stunts. But if they're too scared or if they fail to complete them, then they're out of the running. Simple, right? But then Joe adds an extra element to the show that I don't remember from the 2 episodes I watched as a child.
Now remember, this is a game, so some strategy will come into play. Feel free to mess with each other's minds, play off each other's fears. Gamesmanship is always appreciated here.
Do me a favor and keep that up there in your noggin as we go through the episode. The first stunt featured is the horse drag. The contestants are taken to this old-timey western ghost town where they'll be dragged on their stomachs by 2 horses. Hence the name. I don't know about you guys, but when I first saw this stunt, my first thought was, I could probably do that. And I'd really like to think that's true, but then I also thought about that one time I rode a mechanical bull and I was immediately tossed off, so I'm just putting it out there. I am not, nor will I ever be cut out for this kind of shit. And neither is Carlisle, really. He says that he's not the type to put himself in any situation where he'll have to face his fears.
What's the most dangerous thing you've ever done before besides this?
Nothing. I kind of stay free of,
Stay free of
if I don't have wings, I don't fly. If I don't have fins, I don't swim. So I'm kind of that kind of person.
I'm with you.
So I don't really know why he's here other than winning 50 grand. As the stunt goes on, we see a lot of shit talking from the contestants, mostly from Veronica and Carlisle. Carlisle's biggest target seems to be Winston, whom he accuses of having a twitchy eye and an unhinged personality.
We're not allowed to talk about the other contestants. So.
Why? He don't like them?
No, I saw one. I don't see how he passed the psychic test.
Why? Which one?
Notice the twitch in the eye.
Looks a little whacked out.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what they could possibly do to us to scare us. I'm like, you can't really seriously kill me or seriously maim me. What are you going to do to scare me? I would have never thought of this.
I'm guessing something probably happened off camera because, to me, Winston seemed fine. There's also Frosted Tips Nick, who has fallen victim to arguably my least favorite thing in any TV show, reality or scripted, and that's when someone's personality gets boiled down to one simple trait. See, Nick is a shoe shiner by trade, so naturally all he cares about is shoes, right?
So you're a little bummed out about your shoes getting drugged through here?
Yeah, but I got my stuff with me, so I'll clean them. So your shoes are horrible too, buddy, but it's all right. It's all right, dude. It's all right, man.
We learned that Gabriella is here because she can't afford to go on a trip to Spain with her friend, and I just have to highlight how refreshing it is to watch a show where no one's clear ulterior motive is just to be Instagram famous or to boost their public brand. Like, comment, subscribe, by the way. As soon as we learned this about Gabriella, though, I started thinking that maybe she was meant to be, like, the hero of the episode. She's the only one who says why she's trying to earn the money, and it feels like she gets a lot more screen time than the other contestants do. Gabriella is the first of the girls to attempt the horse drag, and she doesn't make it very far. She kind of dramatically lies in the mud, blaming her short time on the gloves given to her by the show. And what's this?
Gabby, okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Is that Joe Rogan being nice?
Well, you know what? You're not necessarily out. The other two girls, if they last less distance than you can still make it.
As Veronica prepares for her turn, all of the shit talking comes right back around on her.
I know her type. Her attitude stinks.
Her attitude stinks terribly.
Yeah, I think from now on, I'm going to give her the smile.
Veronica is extremely confident going in, which perfectly foreshadows her pathetic attempt. Winston does pretty well, but he ends up cutting his finger, and it's kind of gross. He talks to Joe, who informs him that Carlisle has been accusing him of being crazy, and then Winston decides to prove him right by using his own blood as war paint. Now, this is where I need you to remember how I pointed out Joe suggested that the contestants use psychological warfare against each other. And this is exactly what I think Winston is doing. He's just trying to psych everyone out. I hope. The horse drag stunt ends, and with the shortest distance traveled, Veronica is sent home. The next day, our 5 remaining contestants are taken to an abandoned warehouse, and there they're supposed to perform the type of stunt that I personally associate with this show the most, and that is lying in a vat of creepy crawlies. And this episode specifically, those creepy crawlies are rats. 400 apparently. Carlisle is not excited about this at all. In fact, he speaks up about a concern that I think we all should have.
Oh my God, I'm just worried about crawling on your genital areas.
Winston is the first to lie down in the rat pit, and his commentary throughout is just incredible. I can't describe why I love it, I just do.
Remember which one that was. I want him afterwards.
How you feeling, man?
Oh, I can hear them in my ears. I can hear them. Oh, they stink. God, they stink.
After lasting the full 4 minutes in the pit, he speaks with Joe and...
Talk about being determined to win. My man's eating himself.
I was a little confused watching it. I think what he's doing is he's biting himself to make himself bleed more, or I don't know. It's all just psychological warfare, right? Right. Deirdre is up next, and she has some very high hopes for herself, and I honestly think I would have rooted for her a little more if she didn't keep using the word tush. I'm so sorry if that's your preferred term for the posterior area on the human body, but it makes me deeply uncomfortable. Also, is it just me? Or was Joe Rogan trying really, really hard to flirt with her?
Was it as bad as you thought it was going to be?
It was worse.
It was
they
worse?
were really chewing on me. I put lotion all over my body this morning.
Was it like honey cocoa butter lotion?
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Something tasty?
Yeah.
Gabriella goes next, and she's so freaked out that I was half expecting her to quit within moments of those rats touching her. And again, we see Joe coming across as very kind and supportive to Gabriella, which I find almost as jarring as the amount of hair on his head.
You can do it, Gabby.
Ow!
You're almost a quarter of the way there. You relax. Don't worry.
Relax, Gabby.
Before he can lie down in the rat pit, Carlisle lets his fears get in the way. He gives up on the money and just gets right out of there, and I really can't blame him. I am not a fan of rodents. Sorry. That said, I would like to think that this is another stunt that I could probably do, just preferably for a higher amount of money than $50,000. Am I out of touch? Is $50,000 a lot more than I like to think it is? It just feels a little too low for all this kind of stuff. Oh, yeah, and last up is Frosted Tips. I mean, Nick, who screams bloody murder the whole time, but he ultimately makes it through. Day 3 features another iconic Fear Factor stunt, the vertical hanging car, and I am getting anxiety just thinking about it. While watching the episode, I was playing along in the safety of my mind and thinking about what I would do if I were on the show. And that is, I would have taken one look at that car and booked it out of there. I'm not kidding. Just listening to the instructions made my heart race. Couldn't do it. I am too afraid of heights and too afraid of falling. No thank you, Joe Rogan. The stunt goes as follows. The contestants will be strapped into the car, which will be lifted more than 150 feet over the water. Then they'll have to climb out of the car, grab the ribbon sticking out of the hood, climb back over the car to get the key from the trunk, then get back in the driver's seat, put the keys in the ignition, and honk the horn. Absolutely could not be me. My first thought upon seeing our remaining contestants was that either Gabriella or Winston were going to win the money. Mostly because they had way more screen time than either Deirdre or Nick did. I had to keep looking back at my notes while writing this script because I could not remember either of their names off the top of my head. Deirdre is randomly selected to go first, and she's fairly confident going in, but she only gets herself out of the window before calling it quits. Joe talks to her after she gets back down, and God, he's so into her, right? Gabriella is the next up, and I swear to you, I thought she was going to knock this out of the park. Even when she exited the vehicle in an awkward position, I was thinking, she's got this. She'll figure it out. But unfortunately, she did not have it. Nor did she figure it out. Almost immediately, she thinks she's going to fall, and based on the look on Deirdre's face, she is hoping Gabriella will. She makes it back into the car and immediately gives up. And I guess my visual literacy skills are in need of a tune-up because I would have bet the farm she was making it further than that. Guess it's all up to Winston now. He tries psyching Nick out even more, and I was totally with it. I was ready to crawl up to that window with the last penny to my name and bet that Winston was going to take it home. And then he admits to Joe Rogan that he's deathly afraid of heights. Do I need to give my media studies degree back? Winston's turn goes better than I expected after that revelation, and he manages to get the ribbon from the hood of the car, effectively kicking Deirdre out of the competition, much to Joe Rogan's devastation, I'm sure. In what I personally thought was a genius move, Winston opens the gas tank and uses it to help himself get over the trunk. He grabs the keys and prepares for his descent over the roof of the car. Then there's an awesome commercial break that really makes it look like Winston's going to fall off the car. And when the show comes back, it reveals that that's exactly what happened. You know when you fall asleep and you have those dreams where you're falling and then you just jerk right back awake? This scene is exactly what mine are like. Except I don't have like a rig and a harness, and I don't have like a crew to keep me safe. Winston returns to land and stands with Joe Rogan, and Joe tells Winston that he bumped Deirdre out, which just makes me imagine him being like, do you think this will ruin my chances with her? Before the other guy, what's his name, attempts the stunt, Winston breaks character, and he's actually really encouraging to him about the whole thing. I love to see it. We love positive masculinity, right? We then hear a voiceover from Winston that all but confirms my theory he was just playing his craziness up to freak the others out, which I'm very glad to see because I was really beginning to lose all hope in my TV literacy skills. Nick is able to collect both the ribbon and the key, and then he gets back in the car and wins the episode. So that was the first episode of Fear Factor. I really hope you enjoyed experiencing this with me. I've been having the time of my life reliving all these old shows from my childhood, and I'm just so glad to have you here with me. If you'd like to be extra helpful, you can give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you've got some more time, I've covered a few other shows like Trading Spouses and Celebrity Paranormal Project, so you should definitely give those a watch. And join me next time when I watch something else. Bye!